Hello and welcome back to my craft room. I've decided it's time to have a little go with my first Artful box. I did an unboxing the other day. It'll be in the unboxings playlist if you're interested. It's my first one, so it's not the current quarters subscription box because you get to choose your first one from a previous box. So I chose Lino Cup. That didn't belong on it. Here's my lino cut box with an example of what you can do with lino cut printing on the front. One of the things included in the box is this amazing, but it's more than a magazine, it's like a book full of all kinds of tips and tutorials and ideas and templates and things to get you started. So I've had a look at that, I've had a look at some tutorials on YouTube, both the Artful ones and some others, and I've started doing some initial designs. So I'm going to show you those right now. So this one I started out wanting to, I might use this as a kind of Valentine's card design. So we've got red and black ink, so I thought I'd do most of it with the black, but I'd do a separate colour, a multicolour print, and do the heart in red. And then I'm going to do that Edward Lear nonsense poem about the owl and the pussycat. They dined on mince and slices of quince, because this was inspired by quince. It looks kind of a bit like an apple, a bit like a peach, a bit like a quince. Traditionally, the quince is a symbol of love and romance and going way back. And it has a special significance to me and my husband because we had a quince tree in our first garden, and I used to love to make quince jelly, quince jam, quince liqueur. So this was when I first started playing around with the ideas, and I've jotted down the Edward Lear poem here. They dined, because I might write it by hand in ink afterwards. They dined on mince and slices of quince, which they ate with a runcible spoon, and hand in hand. So I thought I could do that, and then inside the card I could write, and hand in hand on the edge of the sand they danced by the light of the moon. So I quite like that idea. So that's one idea. Then I'd love to do something I've wanted to do for a long time, is to get into doing illustrations for children's books. So you might be familiar with the story of the Red Shoes. It's an amazing story, quite a scary story. A Hans Christian Andersen one originally, I believe. I think it's been made into a ballet and a film. And anyway, so this is my idea of an illustration for the Red Shoes. The idea is that she's been pulled along. She's been pulled along by these shoes on her feet, which won't stop dancing. And I want to look like a dark moonlit forest. Everything will be just black and white, but the shoes will be red. I say this here, everything will be black and white, but the heart will be red. And I've also dug out this little drawing that I did for Inktober, which was based on or inspired by those Japanese kind of block prints. So this was a red boat. I've often I get this picture in my head quite often of a red boat in a stormy sea. So this was in my head. This was a red boat, but I could only use black and white for this. So I thought I might do a version of this again, all black and white, but with the red boat. And the last thing I want to try, you see I'm full of ideas. This is now, years ago I started playing with the idea of making these things like this, all kinds of things out of recycled materials. You can see it's just made of old book paper. I'm not doing that anymore, but I kept this one, and I'm thinking of waking up my Etsy shop again, so I'd like to use this arty farty logo that I designed and my son helped me to actually bring about. But I can't find the files and things for it on my PC. The only thing I've got is this, so I'm thinking I might have a go at not the arty farty bit, but just the A with the splash. I might have a go at that with lino cut printing as well. So that's 4 things I want to try. I think the first one I'm going to do is probably going to be this one. You can see originally it was much more complicated, and I even did another one. There it is, that's half of it. You can kind of, there we go, it's now focusing. Yeah, I decided that was all getting a bit too complicated for my first go, so I simplified it to this, which I'm quite happy with now actually. And I'm really quite excited to have a go at this one, but I think I'm going to try the quince one first because, I don't know, it just seems the most straightforward to me. So, that was just to sort of let you know what I'm doing. I think all of that is going to take me quite a few hours to do, so I'm going to film the whole thing and then kind of pare it down and chop it up and put it back together and make it into a video that hopefully isn't too long for you to watch. So yeah, that's just a little intro letting you know what I'm doing. And once I got to the point where I've got my lino carved, I'll come back and catch up with you then. Wish me luck. I've never tried this. I'm really going to need it. See you in a bit. Right, so first thing I'm doing is transferring my image using a piece of tracing paper and a fairly soft pencil. And I'm doing the little heart separately on the spare bit of lino. I'm just going through having a look at the different tools now, trying to work out which is which from the diagram on the front, and I found it really difficult. I was trying to work it out from the shape of the blade. I'm using the smallest little V-shaped blade here to start going around the outside of the heart, just to get a feel for the technique really. I'm cutting it out now into a separate little square to make it a bit easier to manage, and I'm finding that it's going around these curved shapes, it's easier to turn. They keep turning the tile. I've changed to a slightly larger blade now and going in a little bit deeper and starting to take away the outline, the surround, the background. At this point I decided that those people at Artful are absolutely right. It's worth taking the time and the trouble and using some of the material to get to have a bit of a practice and just try out all of these different tools and see how everything works. And then once I've done that, I feel a little bit more confident and ready to start carving my actual image. Okay, so it's the next day. I've been out for lunch and I've been over to see my son today. It's been a busy day. I'm back. I've come straight up to my craft room because I can't wait to try out the lino block that I finished cutting last night quite late. So let's go straight to the desk. I'm quite pleased with how it turned out actually. What I did, I learned quite a few little things along the way. Definitely was worth stopping and doing my little experimental cutting piece just to see how all the different blades would cut. What I might try doing is working into this some more and making it into a kind of a texture, a background texture that I can actually make use of. The only thing I'm not clear about is which side of this soft stuff I should be using. What's it called again? Linoleum block specially made for printmaking. I got the impression from reading around a bit about it online though that this is the kind of soft carve stuff. It's certainly not like the sort of heavier, slightly stiffer lino that we sell in the shop where I work, which has a kind of a canvassy back. It's more like what I think of as actual lino. Anyway, I found one mention that maybe you should use the smooth side rather than the rough side. So it's got an obvious shiny smooth side and a more matte textured side. But I only found one mention of that, and I don't think, I mean, I've obviously not read this entire book yet, but I couldn't find any other mention of it, and I didn't see in the tutorials either of which side to use. In the end I decided, you know, it's probably not going to matter that much. I'll find out as I go along. So one handy thing that I sort of discovered for myself was I just used one of these because I've got all sorts of ink pads like this because I do a lot of stamping and things as well, and I just rubbed this over the surface of the stamp just to see where I still needed to remove bits and whether I was getting the shape right. I don't think this will affect the finished print, and I probably could wipe it off if I wanted to, but I'm not going to worry too much. I like, apparently all of these like scratchy marks here where you've not completely carved away the background are known as noise or chatter, and I really like that. I think if I wanted a completely clean print, I can't see the point in hand carving it myself. I really like that look. I think it makes it look distinctively lino cut or block printing or whatever it is actually called. What else did I find along the way? Oh yes, one little useful thing. You know, I was struggling initially to work out which blade was which, according, you know, so that I could work out what kind of shape cut they should be making, and all of that. And I couldn't work out which was which. Well, it turns out that each one has it actually stamped, sort of embossed in, no, debossed into, carved into the end, just there, that end. Can you see? So that's a number 7. Well, I couldn't see that with my naked eyes. Well, it took me ages. So what I've done now is I've written on each one with a Sharpie. I've written number 7 in that bit, which won't get anywhere, so hopefully that will last a while. And then I will keep them all in this little box, and I can see which one I should be choosing for which purpose. I did also find that as I went along, kind of less was more. I did better. I found it easier when I just went very slowly with it and just took very small amounts off, rather than trying to take too much at one time. It was better to take longer and just keep going at it. I found that for going around curves, which is a little bit tricky, and I'm sure I will get better at that, I found it easier to take whichever blade I was using, hold it still and turn, well, not hold it still, but just keep turning the tile, rather than keep trying to get this at a funny angle. That's probably an obvious thing to say, but I wasn't doing it initially. What else did I find? Yeah, I think it's just going to be a question of doing more and more of it, and I will get better as I go along. I'm quite happy with how this turned out. It's pretty much what I had in my head. I cannot wait to get going on my red shoes one. That's what I've been thinking about on and off all day. I want this heart to fit inside that heart where I've left it white, so I'm going to have to cut this one down a bit, so I'll do that soon. And then the idea is I'm going to print this in the black, because we've got black and red ink from the Artful box, and then the heart in the middle in the red. So it wouldn't be the end of the world if it went over that outline, but I'd rather it just fitted inside, so I need to cut this down quite a bit. I'm also quite worried about, and there's not an awful lot of advice in the tutorials that I've found so far about how to go about lining things up. I think what I'm going to have to do is cut this whole thing down, so I've literally got a heart shape and I can see exactly where I'm putting it in this case. I think one of the tutorials did talk about creating a kind of framework, so you could kind of register where the second layer needed to go, if that makes sense, but I didn't want to get sort of ahead of myself. Oh, I think that's the sound of my phone dying. Excuse me. Nope, it's exaggerating. It's got 20% left. Come on. It's more energy than I've got left at the moment. I had very little sleep last night. I had about an hour or two, and I've been out and busy all day, so I'm really tired. But if I'm working tomorrow, and I can't wait until Sunday to try this out. I just really want to see how it turns out. I've got my cartridge paper here that came with the kit. I've got the brayer that came with the kit, and I've got an extra brayer, my old speedball one, for when I'm burnishing. I think either that or they suggest perhaps use the back of a metal spoon, which I might try that as well. From looking at some of the tutorials, the more time you spend and the more pressure you put on, the better print you will get. So this is the moment of truth, I guess. Let's have a couple of sheets of this torn off ready. Sorry, that's probably making loads of noise. It's quite nice heavyweight paper. Okay, so I'm a bit scared of this bit, so I want the black. Now I saw somebody I was watching said she put about twice as much as you would use for toothpaste. It wasn't all that useful, because I thought, well, she might use more for toothpaste than I would use or whatever. But anyway, gives you some idea. I don't think it shouldn't be too much. And when it came to the burnishing part, some people used the brayer that they'd been inking with, but of course that gets ink all over the reverse of the paper as well, and I didn't really want to do that. So I've got my Manky Rag old t-shirt here ready. Let's put that in my lap. I've still got my dress on from where I went out earlier on. Now someone else pointed out there's no point in spreading the ink about too much, because you just end up wasting it. What she said was, I don't think this was one of the tutorials that came with the kit, something else I was watching on YouTube, and she said if you spread it out further than the width of your roller, you're just going to end up wasting it, which I can see the wisdom of that. Okay, I'm just going for it. I'm a bit scared of this bit, I don't know why. Ooh, it doesn't feel like I thought it would. It feels thicker and stickier than I thought it would. One of the other little... Whoops. Oh, it really sticks. It is sticky. One of the other little tips I read... Oh, look, this is way harder than you think to keep it to that nice, neat little square that she was doing. I'm not sure I like just working onto this acetate, and I know at work we do sell some lino cutting supplies, and amongst those supplies we have trays for this purpose, and I think I'm going to treat myself to one of them, because otherwise this is happening, it just keeps coming up. That is really annoying. Yeah, I'm not going to... I think somebody I saw had taped the acetate down to help stop that happening, because yeah, this is just... that is irritating. It's not me being inept, it's because the acetate is bound to stick to the roller. Yeah, but it's partly me being inept, but you know. Well, I think that feels sticky-ish now to me. Let's see. Let's do this first one, shall we? Like I say, I love this, what they call chatter. These extra lines around the image. I really love the look of that, so... Okay. Well, let's see. This is... And one thing that a lot of people said was you got to print it off a few times before you get a really good one, so I'm not going to let myself be upset if it comes out a bit duff that first time. Right, so now I'm going to put this sheet of paper down. Once I put it down, I don't want it to be skittering about, so okay. And this is where you've got to put a lot of pressure on, and you can see what I mean. If I was using this roller to do it, yes, it would work, but I'd have ink all over here as well, and I'd be getting even messier than I know I will already. One thing I've done anything like this is jelly printing. But that doesn't need as much pressure as this does to transfer. What I might do later is experiment with running this whole thing through my die cutting machine. I'd have to experiment with what combination of plates I use, because obviously the lino itself is quite thick, but that would put a lot of pressure on. I kind of want to try the spoon as well and see which works out better. I might have to have a spoon up here as well. Have I got one up here? Oh look, I've got a teaspoon. Okay. It kind of feels like it's picking up all the lines more, because you can feel all the texture with it. I think I'm going to have to lift it up and see. Look! Tell you what, that's not bad, is it, for my first ever attempt? I'm well chuffed with that. My idea was to turn this into a card, into a Valentine card with the red heart in the middle, and I might mount it on some red card just to give it a nice little frame. I'm actually really pleased with that. And I might also add some handwriting around here, the Edward Lear poem that I was talking about earlier. That's very satisfying. I mean, you know, it's not the best design in the world. I think looking at it now, I wish I'd left the outline a bit thicker, but then it is meant to look like a fruit, and that's the skin of it, so it wouldn't be that thick. And yeah, maybe some people wouldn't like all this chatter, but I love that effect. I really love it. I did deliberately try and make all my carving outlines for the centre of the fruit fan out from the centre of the heart, so it would give that effect of the fruit. So let's have I might as well use up some more of this ink. Oh yeah, this acetate is not going to cut it for me. It's impossible to do it nicely without it lifting up, sticking. Just buy one of those trays. Method of rollering it all first and then using the spoon, because rollering it has made it kind of stick fairly well. The paper's sort of stuck to the ink a bit, so it'll sort of hold itself in place while I give it a good rub with the spoon as well, just to be sure. This is nothing like doing rubber stamping really, or I thought it would be more like rubber stamping. Okay, fingers crossed. I don't mind telling you, I'm well chuffed with that. For first attempt, that could have been a lot worse. Let's compare those two. I've got this weird, why have I got a weird splatty thing going on here? It's just because I've not carved it. So what I could do is think, okay, I don't want that bit there. I'm going to carve a bit more away. But do you know, I think I'm going to leave it. Now, how long will it take to dry? It kind of looks almost dry already, but it can't be. No, it's very tacky still. So I need to spread these out a bit to dry. I'm very tempted to just peek and see, you know, how little could I get away with. Do you know what? I don't know if I really do need all that spoon business. Let's try it without. Still pretty good. And the ink's probably getting a bit thinner now, so I've not got quite so much ink there. I think I'm going to need some more pieces of the lino to experiment with, and I want to try the other kind of, I call them more sort of old-fashioned lino, traditional lino, I suppose. So that is that. I'm just wondering now what to do with this. I don't really want to go washing it all down the sink, and I don't remember seeing any actual advice about clean-up. Let's have a look. It's water-based, so I'm a bit tempted to try putting it face down on a bit of paper and just pressing on it. As you can see from there, most of it's been picked up. That is quite transparent already. Let's see if we can let's just do that, because I'll just put this face down on there. Has that done anything? Ooh! I guess I could do it the other way. Oh, that was unexpected. Nothing else, it'd be a bit of collage paper. Oh, look at that. I've forgotten how tired I was now, see? Okay. Right, so I've been left with hardly anything to get off my sheet, but I better go and get that off now, I suppose. I'm wondering whether to use this one that's come out a little bit now, because I didn't ink it up so thoroughly. I might use it to experiment with just adding some colour in a different medium. Like maybe making this slightly golden or green. Or something like fluorescent. Yeah. I'm quite tempted by that, and I'll be interested to find out, because the ink is water-based, will it reactivate once it's dry? So I need to know that as well. So it'll be useful to have this to experiment with. So that's it for now. There it is. So yeah, I'll finish this now because I really need to go sort myself out. I'm so tired. And when I've done when I've added the little heart, I'll take a photo and I'll add that on the end of this before I post it. So thanks very much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed that. Sometimes the best way to learn is to watch someone else fumbling in the dark. Okay, changed my mind, decided I can't leave it there. I'm going to have to show you how I get on with this. Oh, and also I just had to pop back to let you know that indeed clean up was very easy. I just took it down to the kitchen sink and it was gone. The acetate also came up almost as good as new. I just thought I might as well pop back and show you the finished. It's a shame not to see the whole thing through. Dinner can wait for a little bit longer. I'm not hungry anyway. So I'm just scooping out a little bit more where I felt I had too much of a slight blobbiness there. I'm just going to scoop a little bit of that away. Let's check I've got the right bit. I found I got on better with the smaller blades, and just taking that little bit longer. Another little tip was because I found I was gouging in a bit too much to start with, it's better to think of it more of as a scooping up. One of the things that I read or heard in my investigations was that with certain types of lino there's a snap, so you go like that and snap it off. I think with this soft one that doesn't happen, so if you don't kind of scoop up you end up gouging in. At least that's what I was finding. So I've just scooped, so where I can see where the ink is and there's just a little bit more than I wanted, I've just taken some of that away. So when I do a print in the future there'll be just a little bit less of that blobbiness, but that's fine. And then with this heart I'm going to see if I can just cut round it with my craft knife, because I just don't think I'm going to be able to see where I'm placing it otherwise. And I think for the red shoes I'm going to have a better look at the tutorials to be able to work out how to register the two different lino cuts so that the red of the shoes ends up in the right place. I know one of the tutorials did cover that, I'm sure it did, so I need to have a better look, but I just couldn't wait to get started. I think I will end up overlapping my black a little bit, but it's not going to be too bad. Right, let's get the cutting mat out of the way. I'll use this one that was a slightly duff print for my experiment. I'm going to also, the other thing I wanted to try and show you how I get on is just taping this acetate down to make it a bit easier to manage. I'm completely trashing my desk. Either side, wigging away, you can't see. I've just got heaps of all sorts knocking around. I think this is going to be a bit rough and ready, I think, but I'm just running out of time and energy now. So I want a really tiny bit of ink because it's only this little bit. I'm going to see if I can get away with just using that much. I don't want to waste it. So let's see if it's uh-oh, is my roller still wet? No, it seems to be right. Okay. I've got nothing to hold it by. I may regret this. I And I may get it all over myself. Almost certainly. Okay, let's give it a go. I'd be really upset if I spoil it now because this all can go ever so well. Well, better than I thought anyway. Okay, let's see if I can just drop this down. Oh, I think I moved a bit then. So this really now I'm just using it like a stamp. But it's a stamp that I've cut to fit my image. Oh. That's alright, it's alright. I need to rub it a bit more. It's not perfect, but I think it's okay. I could just colour that in red with paint, but I like the look of it being stamped on there and slightly offset. Okay, I'm gonna be brave and do the others. I probably would be better with this, as I'm using it more like a stamp, to put something on there and stamp it in the ink. Shall I try that? Let's try one more the proper way, and then I'll try one like that. Oh, that's a bit better, isn't it? That time. And then time I've got that cut out and mounted with a red frame, I think that'll look really pretty as a card. Okay, this has got to be the best one. It's like when you're making pancakes, and that first pancake is never the best one. You have to get 3 or 4 pancakes in till you get a good one. Okay, fingers crossed. Ooh, I want this one to be perfect. Oh, it is perfect. That's as perfect as it's going to get for me. Very, very happy with that one. Okay, so now let's put that right out of the way. Okay, thanks again for popping in, and I will see you again soon. Really going this time. Bye!